is good, everyone? Hope you are well. It is a lovely, bright and sunny, but rather cold morning today. Thursday morning. It has been chilly. There was another little frost on the car. We had a frost on Tuesday morning, slightly thicker frost. It was definitely a little bit colder on Tuesday, but another little frost this morning, fairly light one. But there's a little dusting of snow in different places in town. We didn't have very much near us, but I've just been to the gym on the other side of town, and there's definitely a lot more going on. But yeah, it's definitely cold. I'm not enjoying it, but I don't mind quite so much when the weather's like this, when it's still bright and dry, because yesterday was just pissing down all day. Not much fun at all. Didn't really get out too far either, just because of the nature of the weather. So yeah, hopefully I'll get out for a little bit of a walk later on. But heading back, check-ins to do, calls to have, lunch to eat, and then plenty more to be done. But just had my push session. Another really, really good session actually. Push is one of those that I've found typically a difficult one to progress. Like my presses always have been something that I struggle with, but past couple of weeks I've seen a nice little bit of progress. Not massive amounts. We bumped weight up last week, and then this week we managed to get a little bit extra on the rep side. So things are progressing in the right direction, which is really, really pleasing. And yeah, all in all, just having some good sessions. And then I jump on Instagram, and it must have done some sort of update overnight, because they've changed all the bloody layout for no reason, absolutely no reason. I don't know if you've noticed yourself, or if you've been on Instagram, if you've done the app update, but it used to be, and it was like it for ages, and so you get really used to how things are. It's up, like messages up in the top right corner. They've moved that to somewhere along the bottom in the middle, just for no reason. Like why change something that isn't broke, and it made me laugh, because like when this is how my brain works. I always sort of compare these things to something else in life, and I was thinking like that sort of change just for the sake of making a change is a little bit like coaches that basically change plans every single week for no actual reason, just because they feel like making a change is what justifies them being a coach. They feel like that's what justifies someone paying them the money. So plans are getting changed every week, and actually, to be honest, most of the time coaching is the complete opposite of that. Like what we're really trying to do as coaches is get people to be consistent, because the vast majority of people, it's the consistency that they lack. It's the thing that they struggle to find. They've been chopping and changing with stuff like different training plans, different diet plans, and then you come along and you're just making those changes like every single week. And on the one hand, probably trying to encourage your clients to like batch cook and make sure that they're planning their food in advance and all of these things. So they do a bit of that batch cooking and they plan their food in advance, and you come along and you make a change to their plans. So all of that batch cooking they've done could be completely useless. And I genuinely think is actually quite lazy coaching. Like if coaches are making changes every single week, whether that's like little changes to food and all of these things, like it doesn't need to happen, especially if you've set things up right. Early doors, there might be a little bit of that, there might be a little bit of, right, we're going to set some plans, and then we're going to have to try them, we're going to have to see how they are, and actually there might be a couple of little tweaks to make early on. But once things are in the right place, consistency is where the magic happens. And so actually the coach should really just be encouraging that client to just be laser focused, to just be as consistent as possible, and really just stick into it. And like I say, if you're then just making changes for the sake of making changes week after week after week, there's absolutely no hope that consistency is going to happen. So Instagram, stop making changes. What was working was working. Everyone knew what it was. And even though I'm absolutely going off on one about it, and I'll get used to the changes like in 2 days' time, it's not really the point, is it? The changes didn't need to be made, so leave it alone. And I can almost guarantee, because this is what will often happen with these things, everyone will whinge about it, everyone will moan about it, and the next update they do, or a couple of updates time, it'll bloody go back to what it was anyway. So there we have it. There's my little rant for the day. Hope everyone's good. I'll be back with another little part of this, but I needed to get that off my chest. What is going on, guys? It is Monday afternoon. It's taking me a little bit longer to record this video than usual. Usually I do them on a Monday morning, but it's been a busy day. My blitzers, my benefit blitzers are checking in for week number 5. There is only 1 week left to go, and they're making some absolutely amazing progress. And I can't wait to sort of see and share the final transformations that are coming, because there's going to be some good ones, and it's going to be a tricky thing trying to pick the winners, but it's a nice position to be in. You know, it's a nice problem to have. So, but onto my own little update. Much more stable week as we expected. I know when I sort of gave the feedback from Christian's check-in reply last week, we were very much saying that we'd expect things to sort of steady and stabilise, and that is what we've seen. So I think for the past 2 or 3 weeks prior to this one, I'd fairly consistently seen about 0.8, 0.9 of a pound go up in each of those weeks on average. This week, just 0.3, so much more steady and stable, which I think is reflected in everything that's happened. You know, food's been on point, training's been really good, like some really good progressions this week too. Steps, cardio, all of those getting done and in a good spot. So, you know, the fact that everything's been pretty much there or thereabouts is why you'd expect to see things steady and stable. And that's, you know, that's the way that it should be. That's your body responding in the way that you would expect it to respond. Like, what happens is you make a change, and that change will be effective. You know, it's a bit like a curve. That change is going to be effective for so long before things start leveling out. And then you make another change and things start changing and leveling out again. Similar with weight gain and you know, being in phases of growth as it is to being in a phase of cut and a deficit. You know, the amount of calories that you might be eating at the very beginning of that phase of cutting, and that's seeing you lose weight at X rate over a period of time, that's going to slow and steady, and it's going to start to smooth out. And then you make the next change and you see that continue. And that's the nature of the body adjusting and responding in the right way, you know, in the expected way. If your body wasn't adjusting and responding in that way, then, you know, you potentially be wondering what was going on. So, yeah, fairly steady and stable one. Pics, as usual, will follow when I do the next part of this video, following Christian's reply to me tomorrow when I check in. But yeah, steady, stable. Given that it's been a more steady and stable one, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a little bit of a bump in food happen. I know Christian quite likes to do that. You know, we're trying to keep things going. We're trying to keep things pushing and progressing. So a little bit of a bump in food, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Possibly, you know, 100, 200 calories, 25 to 50 grams of carbs going in on both of those days. But, you know, just continuing to push things in the right direction. I'll continue training hard. The 5 a.m. sessions, by no means are they getting easier with the horrible cold weather that we're having. There have been a couple of occasions where I've had to get up nice and early and scrape the ice off the car, and you know, that's not the nicest way to start your morning at 5 o'clock, but it is what it is. I'm still, you know, happy to be in there, happy to be progressing, and definitely happy to be getting those sessions done nice and early so that the rest of the day is free. But yeah, I'll be back again tomorrow with the final little update for this video. But I hope everyone's good. I hope you're enjoying these, and catch me again in the next part. What is good, people? It is, what is the time? It's about 11:30. Hang on, I've got to try and take these things downstairs. So about 11:30 on, let me try and stick that in the pocket. About 11:30 on Tuesday morning. Oh no, I've just spilled coffee everywhere. Oh, what is going on? One of Louis' dummies. Coffee going everywhere. This is not the ideal situation. Here we go. Finally getting down the stairs. Where was I? It is about 11:30 on Tuesday morning. Check-in sent across to Christian this morning. Check-in reply received about an hour or so ago. And the reply, pretty much as I was expecting. So as expected, like, given that the weight hasn't massively changed this week, little bump, little change in things, only, you know, the usual little adjustment that Christian quite likes to make, which is just a little 100-calorie bump. So 25 extra carb today, both days, sorry, training days and non-training days. So today is a rest day for me, actually, because I switch stuff around. Usually I'd rest on a Monday, because typically Lara goes to the office on a Monday. But she swapped her days around in the office, so she's in the office today. which means that I went to the gym early tomorrow, and then I've used today as a rest day. So yeah, 25 gram of carb bump on both training and non-training days, 100 extra calories going in. And that means, let me just put you down for a second. This probably isn't going to work very well, is it? Just while I try and get all of these things plugged in, just trying to rush around like a lunatic to make sure that everything gets done today. Yeah, little bump up. So we'll see how that goes for the next week or two. Quite nice to have the extra food because I'm definitely feeling quite hungry at the moment. That is probably one thing, I guess, that because I eat 4 meals a day at the moment. So I have first meal, lunch, mid-afternoon snack, and then dinner. So those are the 4 times that I eat. That just seems to work for me at the minute. But what that can mean, like when I'm training early in the morning, I get back and then I'm having my breakfast, my sort of post-workout meal, which is my breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning. But because I've burnt a lot of energy going to the gym, my body's recovering, I tend to find that I get like really hungry again around mid-morning, sort of 10, half 10 in the morning. I'm absolutely ravenous again. And I will sometimes try and string that out to about this sort of time where I'll then make lunch. But I know that I've still, I've got calories to play with. So, snacking on things like fruit, cereal bars, just those convenient things that are easy to grab, which is quite handy to have those as well. It's usually only the mornings, like once I've had my lunch and then I have my mid-afternoon snack at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And then we tend to eat dinner 7:30, 8 o'clock. All of that works out quite well. It's just that morning space of time from having that first meal around 7 o'clock in the morning to then having to sort of wait till 11:30, 12 for lunch. That's quite a long stretch. But it's all good. It's all good. The pictures I will have put up already, so you'll have seen the little bits of progress that's getting made. I'll continue to have them flashing across behind me now. Again, in a pretty good spot at the moment. It's definitely the best I've felt at like this sort of weight, this sort of composition, this sort of stage of a phase of growth. And it's nice to be in that position. Like training's going really well, movements are progressing, especially movements that usually I'd struggle a bit more with, like presses. Chest and shoulder presses quite often stick and stall and don't see too much happen on those for weeks on end. But like I've been seeing some really good progress on those. So that's quite a pleasing thing. And generally speaking, everything is moving up, little bits and pieces. All my big leg movers, my hack squats, my single leg presses, all of those going up as well. RDLs are getting a little bit sticky at the moment, but trying to RDL at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, when is not the easiest thing in the world. But I did creep an extra rep out of them last week. I'm training them again tomorrow morning, so we'll see how we get on with those. But yeah, everything else is moving really nicely. So we're on the right path. It's feeling good, and we just continue to grow. We continue to ride this out for as long as we can, as long as we need to, before whatever happens. And we look to reverse things the other way. But all of that's going to depend on timing, really, timing as to what's going to happen next year, plans for which yet to be they're sort of in discussion. Some of it's going to depend on what's going on in life, when we're thinking we can get back to the UK, and also just depending on like certain dates for certain things, because there's some stuff I want to be doing, but we'll wait to see. But I hope you're all good. Have an absolutely amazing rest of your week. I will be back next week for another one. Do all of that good stuff, like, subscribe, share, comment, everything that just makes sure that I know you're enjoying these, because I'm really liking doing them, actually. I was nervous to begin with, like the thought of getting on camera and speaking and sharing a bit more. But, I've been doing it for ages now. This is like the 21st episode of the growth phase. And prior to that, I'd done like 3 or 4 months worth of the fat loss. So we're probably not far off a year, coming up to a year's worth of recording YouTube videos, which is quite cool. But yeah, hope you're liking them too. And I'll be back next week.